Miles here, and I just wanted to tell you all about a new, fantastic, amazing new light that's just come out from Housbright. If you guys have not seen this advertised anywhere yet, you've seen it here first. And I'm here to tell you this is one of the most amazing modern marvels that any plant person could have. Here on the box it shows you all the different features this light has. You can turn it from a cool blue to a warm color, and anything in between. In the middle, which is easy to set by the sliders, you can see in the video I'm now showing you how you can adjust your light. And as you see here, the light goes dim, blue, and that warm orange color you see. I just love it. It's absolutely fascinating that I can control the color of this light and the on-off ability, not to mention dim it from 0 to 100% very carefully on this slider here. As you can see, the bulb goes from dim to dark. Now that's not all the features this bulb has. One of my favorites is the timer and time setup feature, where you can schedule your light to come on at whatever time of day you'd like it to. But not only that, if you really want to get complicated, perhaps you're trying to get one of your favorite plants to go into flower, so you're trying to mimic a season. There's no better way to do that than to simply set a timer for the light to come on gently, 10%. 15-20 minutes later, add another 10%, and do this until the light is fully on and fulfilling that plant's needs. Now you can calculate how many hours a day that you want that light to be on, and then at the end of your day you can do just the opposite, where it slowly dims that light down and then sets. So you can have that sunrise to sunset effect for your plants, giving them the initiative to possibly bloom. I myself have tested this bulb out for over a week now, and I find that my plants have really responded well to it. I've seen my Epipremnum pinatum skeleton key just absolutely send all its leaves its direction, so I know it's getting all its light needs. I also think that by having that gentle on and that gentle off, you can sometimes get more delicate plants used to brighter lights without burning them. So if you like this light, I'd like to say, try it out. And if you do, let me know, because I'd sure like to hear about it. I love it, and I think you will too.
Hello YouTube, this is Miles here, Paradise in a Pot. And I'm coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada, where I grow a bunch of house plants, and I kind of succeed. Some of them, anyhow. And I'm here to share with you the information that I've acquired since 1985. I'm not saying I know everything about house plants, but I sure know a lot. So what I do know, I'm going to share with you, and what I don't know, I'm going to learn from you. So if you like that kind of content, make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe and hit that notification button, so when I upload new videos a couple times a week, you know when I do so. Anyhow, today we're doing Houseplant of the Week, and I believe this is number 10 in the series. This week we're going to be doing one of my favorite house plants, one that I actually have quite a few varieties of around the house. So I hope that you enjoy this. Let's go ahead and get into it. Today's house plant is going to be Philodendron Heterasium. Oh my gosh, I practiced that so much just to get it right, and then I paused. Philodendron Heterasium. Now this philodendron comes in a few different forms, which I seem to have all of them, maybe not, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing a couple. You guys let me know in the comments below what I'm missing here, and I'm going to show you what I have. So this philodendron is very versatile in that it comes in a few different varieties, like I'd mentioned. We have the Philodendron Heterasium Imperial Green, which is the most common and usually called heartleaf philodendron, which I'm showing you a video of now. And this one is a really great plant. It's a nice staple to have in your collection. It just always brings me joy to see this plant. Another one that I have in my collection is the Philodendron Heterasium Lemon Lime. And this is just such a bright little guy. I love it so much, I really do. It's a slower grower than the rest of them, though, I will say, and I've had a little bit of problem at first with root rot. But I took it out of the media that it came in, put it in fresh media, and it's doing fantastic. As you can see here, a lot of new growth, a lot of new bright little leaves. So it's a real winner in my book. Now the next one I have that I really enjoy, and I didn't know it was kind of uncommon. It seems to be uncommon. Maybe I got lucky and bought one when it wasn't uncommon. But it's the Philodendron Heterasium Rio. And this Rio has a lovely cream stripe and then a lovely green, like a lighter green on each side of the cream before it goes into more of that imperial green that you see here. This plant has, again, been a really fast grower. I will say, however, on a few occasions I've noticed that it's gone back to solid green. And usually what I do in these instances is I cut that out and usually propagate that. And we'll get to propagation here in a little bit. But I like to keep the solid green out of that because it really has a nice effect if you let it stay with all the stripes down the middle of the leaves. Even though they vary the way they do, it's more striking that way. The green in that, if it were a bigger plant, I don't think I'd mind, but it's only in a 8-inch pot, so it's still kind of a smaller sized plant. The next one on the list here is we have the silver stripe. So that's the Heterasium, Philodendron Heterasium silver stripe. And this one you can see here, I was giving maybe a little too much light, and the leaves have turned more into like a lemon lime. I've reduced its light. I've taken it back a little bit to see if maybe giving it a little less light would help it come out. And this one I acquired from Peace Lily Plants. Shout out to Lily. Hi, Lily. Make sure I'm going to put her information right up here on the screen quick. You should go check her out. She has a really great plant channel also, and we did a plant swap a little while back. So I gave her some of my plants, she gave me some of her plants, and this plant just happened to land in Plant of the Week this week. So it's a cutting that I've gotten. It's one of the smaller Heterasiums that I got, but it's doing really well. These guys, they really take off. Now, the Heterasiums are from Central to South America, all the way down into Central America down to South America. So they live in the rainforest. They can live in the high rainforest, the low-level rainforest. They're quite adaptable and found readily all throughout those areas, almost weed-like. However, how can you call such a beautiful plant a weed? This plant is toxic to your pets, so you're going to want to keep it out of reach of your pets who are nibblers. If you have small children, I'd keep it definitely out of the reach of them because it can make them sick. So again, be warned, it is a toxic plant. So this plant's light requirements are quite versatile, I will say. It will tolerate a lower light instance. It won't grow as much, but it won't die off either. It'll just kind of sit there in a lower light. If you give it a higher light, a brighter light, you will see a lot more growth come out of it. And sometimes too much light makes it grow too fast, and it can be overwhelming for some people. So that's why it is probably a better plant to keep in a lower light or more of a medium light situation. Now, between my Heterasium Imperial Green and my Heterasium Rio, I switch those two every couple months from their spots because one's a darker spot and one's a brighter spot. So right now I have the Heterasium Imperial Green in the brighter spot so that it can have some growth and rejuvenation and really fill out. And right now the Rio's taking kind of a little break in a slightly less bright spot so it can just kind of relax and chill, maybe do some root development, kind of support all those new leaves. And then, like I said, when I switch them back and forth, I really see a growth difference in both of them, and they seem quite happy about it. So they're in the same size pot, so I don't mind switching them back and forth every now and again. And basically what I do is when the Heterasium that's sitting in the darker spot kind of looks like it might get a little sad looking, which it takes about 3 or 4 months for that to occur. That's when I'll do the switch. Now, these plants do like water, but they don't like to sit in wet, soggy soil all the time. And that's the problem I have with the lemon lime. I think because it probably photosynthesizes a little less because of the color, and that's just a speculation on my part, that's not a fact. I believe that maybe I was giving it a little too much water and it got that root rot. Again, it might have just been in a poor soil, but I've noticed that's a lot slower of a grower for me so far. But it's been about 6 months since it's been in this new potting mix, and I do see that it's got a lot of new growth, so I might give it a totem soon to start getting it to grow up right. And that's one thing I will say about the Heterasium, is you do not want it to necessarily overflow a basket and just be a long hanging plant, because you'll notice as the leaves, the longer it gets and the further down they go, the leaves will start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's because this plant is a climber. It wants to go up and find the sun. If the leaves are going down, it's probably not finding the sun, so it's not going to waste its energy making big leaves. Giving it a pole or a totem will help it not only just grow up like it naturally wants to, but it help it get bigger leaves so that it can really give you those just big, beautiful, luscious leaves that you really want. So I do recommend growing it upright. I also recommend that in the potting mix, when you do pot this up, especially if you're starting off a small one and getting it into a bigger situation, I give mine probably 1/4 orchid bark mix in with a really airy potting mix. No peat. I don't use peat on these guys anymore because I find that that's probably what's causing the rot. Not only that, it's not very environmental. So I'm getting away from peat on pretty much anything I can. There's a few I'll have to use it on, like a begonia. You have to use peat. It's just Las Vegas is too dry. There's no medium other than peat that can hold water well enough to keep that alive. But all the aeroids and everything else, they're fine. Ferns maybe might need some peat too because they need to stay slightly wetter, but we're getting sidetracked here. We're talking about the Heterasiums today. So those guys I mix them in with a chunky orchid bark. And the reason is those roots, as they grab onto that wood, it kind of tricks them into thinking they are climbing up, and that helps it give it bigger leaves. So it's happier. It gives it what it's looking for because they are semi-epiphytic. They really are not terrestrial, grow in dirt kind of plants. These guys grow up trees, in trees, nooks and crannies of trees, where they find nutrients and water along the way. So kind of keep it open and airy. And I think you'll have a lot of success with these. They also are very forgiving if you watch them kind of droop from lack of water. Give it a good drink and it'll plump right back up, pop right back up. I've not had a problem with this before. And very rarely, I know I'm kind of an underwaterer personally, but very rarely do I have a problem with this having its leaves droop because I do keep a check. I just stick my finger in the soil. If I feel water or wetness, I leave it alone. If I got to dig down in there and it's still feeling dry, then I think it's probably time to water it. Now feeding. These guys are not heavy feeders, but I do feed them monthly during the growing season because I feel that it helps them really fill out when it's a little bit warmer and a little bit brighter. Now in my home I do use a lot of artificial lighting, but with these guys they pretty much just stay in the natural lighting. I don't think I have anything. No, I mean maybe that silver stripe that's over there is getting a little bit of artificial light, but again, I put it at a darker spot because you see those leaves are turning lemon lime and the silver stripe's kind of gone away. Lily, has yours done that? Let me know in the comments below. I'm kind of curious about that. So when I do water these guys, I do take them to the sink or the shower and really wash them off well. I've not seen or had any pest pressures on these guys, but I always feel better safe than sorry when it comes to that. So I just as soon wash them off. I feel it's good for the leaves too because they do kind of get dusty. Las Vegas has a lot of dust, and if you watch my Instagram, you can see I have a lot of construction constantly going on across the streets. So it helps with that quite a bit. Last thing I will talk about with the Heterasium is that it is a philodendron, and it is ready and willing and able to propagate. Usually what I'll do, though, with propagations of this plant is that I'll usually use 2 or more nodes to start them in water. I find that gives you a better possibility of getting roots. They are not as aggressive as pothos when it comes to rooting up in water, where a pothos you can put a 1-node cutting in there, and even if the leaf drops off, you're going to have another plant because pothos is that aggressive. These guys are not quite as aggressive when it comes to that. So it's going to take a little longer to root up, and you're going to want to have a little extra nodage. Usually I don't go more than 3 nodes though, because if it's too long of a vine, I find that the tip will die off. So try to stay under 3 nodes if you're propagating these guys in water. And again, you can propagate them in the spring, in the summer, and even in the autumn. Depends on what lighting you have available. If you have artificial lights and you keep your house at a nice room temperature, you could do that year-round. And it's a fun plant to share. I'm actually getting ready, as soon as this lemon line sets off a little bit more of a runner, I'm going to collect a cutting from all 4 of the ones I have and make one plant with all 4 coming out, just kind of like a little variety pack plant, because I think it'll be kind of fun. And they should all grow fine together because they all need the same conditions. So guys, I think that's all I have to say today about the Philodendron Heterasium, the heartleaf philodendron, the imperial green. I loved when I read that, imperial green. It's like, that is an imperial green. That's a very lush, deep green. So that's what I'm going to call it from now on. If you guys have this plant, let me know in the comments below. What do you guys do with yours that makes it grow wild? Or what are you having troubles with? Let me know and see if we can't figure out what's going on there. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I want to wish you all a great weekend. Bye.